Jerry, I'd like you to talk for a minute without hesitation, deviation or repetition on the subject of subs versus dubs. Subs versus dubs, starting now.
I personally have always preferred subs as opposed to dubs because I like hearing the natural dialect and language and the texture of the voices of these incredible actors that are able to speak so fluently in their native tongue, as opposed to dubs, which are Americans if it's English, or Norwegian if it's in Norway, or Swedish, or if it's in Sweden, or Taiwanese if it's in Taiwan.
Yes, sir? He's doing what Aaron claims I do, and now he's simply listing languages that match countries.
Accurately.
Accurately without pause, which I believe proves you've made it through 4th grade.
I thought there were actually Norwegian dub studios, then perhaps I would have looked it off, but
I have seen them.
Okay, that's a point to Joe for a correct challenge. And you have 29 seconds, Joe, on the subject of subs versus dubs, starting now.
In the contest between subs versus dubs, I prefer dubs because I like to listen to the American actors hesitate and pause as they try to match up their voices, and I like to hear all the manly...
Here? You said here a couple of times.
He did indeed say here twice, so that's a point to Jerry.
I think the first time it was H-E-R-E, and the second time it was H-E-A-R.
Aaron, why don't you stay out of this? I love you though.
At some point we'll hear her story about the Yowie panel. Jerry has 14 seconds on the subject of subs versus dubs, starting now.
Back to the subject of subs versus dubs, I would like to declare that I particularly enjoy subs, especially because the subtitle outlines are so lovely to look at. And there have been some very creative...
Wow. So that's a point to Jerry for speaking as the whistle went. And Tadao, we would like you to talk for 1 minute without hesitation, deviation or repetition on the subject of my favourite Pokemon. My favourite Pokemon. Starting now.
My favorite Pokemon out of the thousands are innumerous because my uncle happened to work on the show, unfortunately never bothered to tell me which Pokemon meant Japanese or English. In doing so, we find they are very cute. Electrical ones are my favorite. Water ones tend to be a little drippy. Ground ones tend to be a little dirty. Air ones, well, with a chilly night in Texas, this is a bad idea. But Pokemon, my favorite, are always the best when kept cold, served over rice, with soy sauce, wasabi, gingerbread.
I think he's reading a menu.
I don't actually think this is deviation.
You don't eat Pokemon! That's not part of it!
I was already telling this is to each to their own. He simply asked your favorite. He didn't say to watch or to dine upon.
It just isn't done!
I can handle this.
I take the point away.
Tadao gets a point for a correct challenge, and gets... Oh, sorry, a point for an incorrect challenge. Thank you. 20 seconds on the subject of my favourite Pokemon, starting now.
Roasted slowly, takoyaki with octopus, more on salt, less on peppers.
Okay.
Yeah, really?
No, not really. Okay, so Jerry, I've never actually invited a challenge from the panel before.
I'm going to say moral deviation because he's eating Pokemon. Deviation of mine.
So, tentacles. That's a point to Joe for what became in the end deviation. When it became clear you were just going to keep on with it.
Gotta eat them all.
And Joey, you have 11 seconds on the subject of my favourite Pokemon, and don't you dare. Starting now.
My favorite Pokemon would have to be the Drifloon, because...
Stop!
Yes, Joe?
Jerry told me earlier that's the only Pokemon he knows.
No, I said he's one of two.
Well, you're going to deviate by talking about the other one in just a second.
Joe, I'm afraid that if it's the only one he knows, it is his favourite. A point to Joey for an incorrect challenge, and you have 5 seconds on the subject of my favourite Pokemon starting now.
As I was saying, my favorite Pokemon, the Drifloon, is beautiful to me because of its purple, balloon-like nature.
Okay, talking on as the whistle went. Can I just say the panel Drifloon?
Wait, if it goes back, are you still not allowed to say the same words?
The words you can say are my favourite Pokemon, not Drifloon.
It doesn't reset.
No, it doesn't reset.
Oh, they should call me on that.
Not with words. None of them know this.
I'm very proud of everybody by not going on the obvious way of just talking as Pokemon.
Let's total up the scores. So, at the end of the second round, Joe is still in the lead with 13 points. In second is Joey with 11. Tadao has 7 points, and Norrin has 1 point.
It's all scoring, right?
So, we will be dealing with some individual anime titles. You will each have an individual anime title. Starting with Joe, I would like you to talk for 1 minute without hesitation, deviation or repetition on the subject of Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, starting now.
Cowboy Bebop is my favorite anime program, partially because of the close-up of Ain's crying eye, which was incredibly exciting and moving to me, and a fine example of fan service. That is exactly what I wanted to see as a person who enjoys the program. Now, one of the other things I like about Cowboy Bebop is the score. It's a wonderful movie, piece of music.
A program.
I only heard that once. Did he say it twice?
The first time I said pogrom. I remember.
You did not say prom.
Okay, Joey gets a point for a correct challenge and has 32 seconds on the subject of Cowboy Bebop starting now.
What I've always loved about Cowboy Bebop is that it's an amazing fusion of jazz music and being a cowboy. And what's great about that is traveling the universe in a spaceship with these wonderfully strong characters, a weird little hacker boy, maybe girl, I haven't figured that out yet, and an adorable crying dog, which adds a little frivolity to...